Hey guys, Wags with Ironman 4x4. I'm gonna show you how to get these cheap little chintzy baby rails off of your new Ford Bronco and bolt on some Ironman 4x4 heavy duty raid side steps. So grab your tools, because you know what? Yeah, I'll help you do this. Welcome in. We are under the driver's side of the Bronco. Just for reference, the front of the truck is that way. That makes this the driver's side. Now, to take these rails off, we've got to pull 2, 4, and 6 10 mil nuts off. We'll start with that first. We'll do the same thing over on the passenger side. All right, now we've got to pull these 13 mil bolts out. You've got 1, 2, and 3, front, middle, back. So we will pop those out. Don't worry, because this is all kind of cantilevered, so we'll pull all this. These little chintzy baby side rails won't go anywhere. And 3. And I did the same thing on the passenger side, except for the drop the bolt part, which was good. And now we can pull this driver's side one out. So you just have to rock this down and pull it out. That was really easy. All right, out with the old, in with the new. I've got my driver's side heavy duty step that bolts directly to the frame rail laid out here. We need to grab a clip removal tool or a flathead screwdriver. Just be careful. And we're gonna take this main wiring harness. We're gonna pop it off of the chassis rail to get it out of the way to make some room for all this heavy duty beefy goodness. So I'm gonna work my way down. There we go. And I think that is almost everything. I got one back up here. Cool. All right, we are looking pretty good. Now I think we also wanna go ahead and pop the clip for these brake lines. So carefully get underneath the plastic clips, and we'll pull these away from the frame rail to boot, which means also, I didn't know that. I was using to boot in the wrong way until about 5 years ago. I thought it meant to kick something. It doesn't, it means also. Okay, now we need to get these bolt plates put in the frame rails in the right spots. So we've got these little sparklers, which are just little like threaded helicoils, which are pretty cool. So if you have to fish one of this guy, like fish him through, where you might lose them in the frame rail, we don't want that. So you can just thread these, just spin them right on to the spring like that. And now you can fish the wire through wherever you want, pull it out, super awesome. So there's one in the front. What I've done is I've laid my steps out here, and I'm kind of looking at where my mounting points are. So I've got 1, 2, goes to 1, 2, 3's up here. This is just a cutout so that we can put our wire harness clip back in. We've got 4, 5, and 6 right there. That's all on the outside of the frame rail. So I'm gonna feed this one through, and I try to keep a finger on both sides just so I don't lose them, and then spin it all the way to the right, because when we lock our bolt down, it's gonna go that way anyways. Once we have it in, I'm gonna hold the back of it. We can pull these little sparkler helicoils off. We're gonna take these little plastic square tabs, and these are just little retainer clips. So you can either press them or spin them down. And this is gonna hold that in place so that it doesn't push back into the frame rail when we go to fit the step. So I'm just gonna do that all the way down for all my mounting points. This one's an easy one because it just slides right in. We'll set it right there. I'm still gonna put a little plastic washer on. Especially if you're doing these side steps by yourself, what gets tricky is when you go to actually hang them, if you're not like dead nuts right on with the holes going over the bolts, you might accidentally push one back. So these little plastic squares can be a lifesaver. Spin one of these on like that. And now we're gonna bend the end of that wire. There we go. Push him into the frame rail. All right, like that there. I've got my finger on the right, kind of pushing on the back of the back of the tab there. You gotta do this one. That one just slides right in and hangs. Someone asked me the other day if I was a Taylor Swift fan because I was humming a song, I didn't know what it was. And I said, I don't know. I heard it on a Capital One commercial for a credit card. So I could be a massive Taylor Swift fan, and maybe I just don't know it. For this back one here, that square, you gotta go back here, go up, because there's a welded plate right back behind here. See my dirt line? Second try, nailed it. I did it. All right, my buddy Chris from Australia is going to, he talks funny.
G'day.
But if it's a bad day, do you call it bidet? Chris and I are gonna get this fitted up. If you have a friend, it's way easier. If you're doing it by yourself, you can grab some jack stands and a jack and do it that way, but we're just gonna do it this way. So all the hardware's fitted. We're gonna go up nice and slow. We're gonna pull this wire harness back. We're also watching for the brake lines. And you really wanna try to get your front to back alignment. So come up and make sure you see the hardware before you go to push. Cool, and now we're set. And then don't worry about getting your washers and all that on. Just spin a few nuts on so that hardware doesn't slide out on you. Cool. All right, we got 2 bolts that we don't want to forget about. They go on the underside of the frame rail. They're an 18 millimeter. So I've kind of pushed and pulled, and you get them lined up, catch a few threads. I've twisted those 18s in there. And then my buddy Chris is going to show you how to get this last bolt plate fished through, because we got to come right out here. So on the inside of the frame rail, hey, that's pretty good. I like that. Hey, good job. So we're fishing it through the inside of the frame rail. Again, you kind of want to pre-bend that fish wire, that sparkler. Ooh, you had it, dude. Yeah, look at that. We'll feed it through. And nailed it. Just that easy. Cool. We'll throw a flat washer, split washer, and a nut on there. And, ooh, oh, duders. Is this because this is in Australia? You thought everything would fall up and not down?
The thread goes opposite way in America.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
There you go. Well done.
Didn't see that.
I'm out of here.
Hey, get back here. Another trick when you're working on the ground, grab a floor jack or a bottle jack. And the best way to get these steps mounted, because they bolt to the frame, is we are going to give it a little bit of pressure just to get them to sit up like that. Not a ton. You can see that the suspension on the Bronco is starting to go up. So I've got it tight. I'm gonna bolt these 18s down, and it's kind of a mix of everything. You want this up. You also want to tighten everything down this way and this way, because we want to suck that 90-degree plate up into that frame as best we can. If you go to tighten it and this is all hanging down loose, it may not tighten evenly on the frame rail. And then when you slam your truck down on something, if there's a gap, they'll move. So I always like to use a jack to make sure these things are nice, tight fit. Starting to tighten that one. That's a little snug. Grab a 16. See, that's starting to snug down too. These are all going to be 16s. So I'm going to start tightening those down. Now again, as you tighten these nuts down, it's like a T-bolt. So there's a lever on the back side, and that might want to kick around and swing on you. So you want to make sure that you go hand tighten these things, and you're kind of feeling for them, because you want them to swing around and hit the frame and stop. And they'll usually flatten out as you bring them around, but I can feel it's still kind of setting as it locks down. That feels pretty good. And what I'll do, just like, you know, putting a head on an engine block or tightening down a, you know, oil pan on a transmission or something, I'm gonna go down one side, work my way back. I'm just getting things snug. We'll work our way down, come back, really tighten it down. Snug, snug. Okay, that's looking good. Now, what I'm gonna do, lower it down a little bit. I'm gonna lift it from the back. Make sure I'm taking up all that weight off the truck. That should be pushed up into the frame rail really good. And I'm going tight. Again, I don't want that split washer to open up on me or it's useless, but I'm gonna tighten it right to that point. That's tight. Grab that 18. Yeah, see, even that loosened up. I had that thing pretty tight last time. All right, go there. So it's just being methodical and thorough. Although this one, I need some room to work. So I'm gonna go back here. And this one, I'm gonna catch right on that 90 bend. Just make sure we've got some good positive pressure on it. There we go. All right, that is tight. All right, driver's side is done. All we need to do is clip our wire harness and our brake line clips right back in. Then we can go to the other side. Now, if one of the original factory holes for your clip is covered up, not a big deal. We've got holes here, here, and up top too, and you can always just use a cable tie or a zip tie to tie those down. Okay, that's good for this guy. All right, we jumped over to the passenger side of the vehicle. I pre-baked some of this hardware in here, but one thing I want to point out that's different from the driver's side is we're gonna drop the rear and the middle fuel skid plate bolts. We're gonna reuse those once we fit it up. So grab yourself a 18 and we'll drop them out. Just to be safe, we're gonna move this wire harness out of the way. So we'll pop 1, 2, 3, and 4. Cool, and that just gives us a little more room. Ah, sorry, I lied, 5. Yep.
Shaking hands with danger.
Okay. Cool, man. So much easier with
an Aussie.
2 foos working on it. All right, so we got this set. We're gonna use our factory bolts and go ahead and tighten those back down with this 18. And I'm just gonna snug them up. You can see how much that bar is moving around. So we'll get it snug. I'll tighten the front up here underside. We'll get everything kind of pushed in, lock it down. All right, guys, we are all done. We've got these heavy duty raid side steps bolted onto the frame rails of this new Bronco, and it looks great. These things are super tough. They're a great deal. If you want a set, go to Ironman 4x4 America.com. We will hook you up with these bad boys over there.